Hi, my name is Real Sassy, and this is my review for The Surge for the Xbox One. This review is 100% my own opinion, and I'm not being paid for it. So if any developer or publisher want to give me some merchandise, I'm not going to say no. So, what is The Surge? The best way to describe this game is it's a Dark Souls game set in the future with Elysium-style combat suits and robot-type enemies. However, actually stating that would actually do this a disservice to the game. So what is the premise? Well, you play as Warren, a new employee from the almighty Creo Foundation. Yes, there's always some big foundation or corporation in this sort of games. And you are basically heading to your first day of work at the factory of the future. Basically, the world has gone to shot, and this amazing corporation has found ways of fixing the world, and you are basically helping them out. Anyway, everything goes absolutely wrong on the first day, as it always does. It starts off with you basically passed out in a jump heap, marked for scrap by a drone, and this is one of the game's first enemies. From there, you fight your way through zombie-like workers, angry security guards, and quite a large selection of murderous robots in your quest to uncover the truth that is behind the Surge. And this leads me on to the gameplay of the game. Now, before I start, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I absolutely hate Dark Souls. That's right, I'm reviewing a game that's Dark Souls similar, and I absolutely hate Dark Souls. If you look at my game score, I actually have only 70G on it, and this was mostly due to the game's punishing gameplay and the fact that I would often have to try and catch my souls to a bad guy, and I'd never retrieve them because the guy was way too punishing, or the guy itself, the enemy itself, was way too overpowered generally, or my grind just felt absolutely boring as hell. Thankfully, the Surge has none of those qualms. The game itself does borrow elements from Dark Souls. For instance, you kill enemies which drop tech scraps, i.e. Surge's versions of Souls. Using these tech scraps, you take it back to your bonfire, i.e. medbay in this instance, and you upgrade your weapons and your rig, basically your armour. Using that, you then go back out again and defeat the enemies, thus progressing forward to meet higher enemies, and the cycle starts again. Now, the one thing here is that if you do die, the tech scrap does drop, but instead of the casual stroll back to an area, maybe to a boss there, or to a hard enemy that there's no chance of you doing, you have a timer, and it's a 2-minute timer, so you have to get back to that area very quickly. However, they have actually done something quite nifty. Instead of being completely punishing, for every time you kill an enemy back to that area, you do gain seconds to the timer. So I never felt like I was ever going to lose my scrap. I was always enough enemies that respawned that I could kill to keep that 2-minute all the way there, and then try and get back and get that scrap again. Also, it's a lot less punishing than Dark Souls. For instance, if you do actually lose your scrap, there are other items in the inventory drops that is scrap based orientated, which you can then bank. Now, once you have banked your scrap, they are permanently safe. No matter how many times you die, they are there inside your bank, waiting for you to use however you wish. Now, Dirk 13 have been a little bit clever. They could probably see this as an exploit and almost like a safeguarding system. So what they've done is, for the more scrap you hold on and keep to yourself and don't actually bank and continue hitting and killing enemies, you get a mini multiplier. So it's kind of a risk reward system going on. Do I actually bank this scrap, or do I kill a few more enemies, multiplying that scrap and get me even larger amounts of scrap? And that is a ongoing process as you play throughout the game. Scrap is used to level up your armour, your weapons, your character and your rig. But that's not the only thing that enemies drop. Enemies also drop implants. Now these implants are like buffs to your main character. They can provide additional health, additional stamina and additional energy. This will help with your drone, for instance, or extra stamina will give you extra dodge, for instance. These can really change the way you play and are required to be carefully managed to help progress throughout the game. I really enjoyed messing around with these various buffs and bonuses that I could actually mess around with. It was really engaging and it was great to change on the fly to suit specific challenges, and basically what it meant was that I was not stuck to a set character build. Besides leveling up Warren's rig, which unlocks a variety of slots which added more buffs and bonuses, scrap is also used to either build or upgrade armour and weapons. Now this is where Deck 13 has been really clever. For instance, if you see an enemy wearing armour that you fancy, then you use the game's body part targeting system to cut it off him. Before long, you'll be running around seeking out enemies wearing various parts of the set you're going for, hacking off their limbs, torso or heads to correct the part's original blueprint, and then you're using the materials required to construct it. Arms, for instance, use one material types, legs another, heads another, so you're never left having to search for exactly the right armour type once you have a blueprint. In the same manner, this can be done for the weapons. Basically, you see a weapon you like, you cut off the arm that's holding it, and there you go, you have the tool of death. And at any point once you have that tool, you can then construct another one. Say if you want to get rid of it or upgrade it, for instance. And this leads me on to the combat mechanics of the game. The combat mechanics is really quick and fluid. I absolutely enjoyed targeting a particular part of an enemy, then diving in, attacking that part, jumping back out again, waiting for it to counterattack, and then diving in again. The game is quick, fast, and highly addictive. Now, the armors do have a slight variation. There is stuff like as unarmored and there's stuff that is armored. So for instance, if you hit an unarmored part of the enemy, you will kill him quicker. If you hit a armored part of the enemy, it will take longer, but you will get that armor drop. Now, besides the varied armour sets, there is also a pretty decent selection of weapons here, and these kind of fall into four categories. There's twin rigged, massive hammers, blades and staves. I found that the staves were a lot quicker and reached long, while obviously the big hammers did much more damage but were quite slower. And as you use the weapon, your proficiency goes up in that weapon. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, the higher proficiency, the better the bonus damage you do with that weapon. So, for instance, you might find the twin rig system early on in the game is really weak, but once you get to a higher proficiency, the damage at speed is phenomenal, and this game allows you to switch on the fly and also switch your styles on the fly, so it does encourage you to change your build often to suit what you need. And if one build isn't working for you, you can change on the fly to another build that may do. Now, the level design for this game, I feel, has been done really well. Some would disagree with me, however, for someone who hates Dark Souls, the level design suited my playstyle perfectly. And the reason for this is that there's fundamentally loads of hidden shortcuts taking you back to your med bay, which is basically your bonfire, which is great. So you don't have to spend trudging through hours and hours worth of level to get back to a particular bonfire, or a particular enemy's blocking your path, you can always find your way back using hidden paths, and it also helps you explore the levels. Every part of the level is interconnected. Now, what I will say is there is only one medbay per arena, and it's around 6 or 7 arenas, so this is why they've done lots of interconnectivity, and I found this absolutely a joy. It's like, oh my god, there's a hidden path there. Great, where does this lead? Great, back to the medbay. So I now know I can go around this level, have a bit of a bash and a kill, and if I'm feeling overwhelmed at any point, I can leg it straight back using a particular shortcut to the medbay and bank my scrap. Now, there are some down points. The game itself has been designed around more individual NPC enemies and less boss fights. If I remember correctly, it's only around 5 boss fights, so if you do enjoy your boss fights like Dark Souls, be a little bit disappointed. But what they've done is they've kind of hardened the NPCs, and then that's the main bulk of the game, with a small number of big bosses for you to battle, and for me, I actually preferred it that way. Another point which some people may or not may like is the storytelling of the game. Now, there is the odd NPC fitted around the arena, and they can give you a side quest if you want. Their story never really engaged me enough for me to bother going round doing their side quests, but I was often intrigued enough and often went out and did them anyway, just in case it might be some sort of special loot. Overall, the story is a good storyline, but I don't think it was told as in depth or as well as potentially other games. Overall, I did enjoy the storyline, but I actually found myself more engaging with the combat than the actual story. It didn't really bother me. It was engaging. I didn't really care what Warren was doing. I was too busy enjoying myself lopping some guy's arm off so I can get that particular weapon. And this leads me on to the graphics of the game. Now, you can take 2 sets of opinions on this. What Deck 13 has done is they've gone down the industrial facility route, and because of this, some of the environments could be said to feel a bit drab and empty. However, it does suit the game. For me, I think the graphics of the game and the look of the game does suit it. Yes, in some cases they could feel a little bit drab and empty, and it is an industrial site, and therefore there is no amazing set pieces in here, but it does provide you the hemmed in feel of a factory, and what they've done here is rather well. The graphics are at 900 for the Xbox One, but I have been reliably informed that this will be 4K ready for the Xbox Scorpio, so take that on as you will. Overall, the graphics are crisp, they look beautiful, there was no frame rate issues when I was playing with it, everything worked exceptionally well, and everything was smooth when I was in heavy combat. The colours are bright and vibrant, and as you can see here, everything does look beautiful even at 900p. However, to be fair, once the Xbox Scorpio comes out, this will make this look 10 times better. So what about the sound of the game? Well, Deck 13 have gone with a light touch here, and I think this was to try and give the game more of a moody feel to it. The clashing of the weapons, the firing of your lasers is done perfectly crisp and sound, but music is being done with a very light touch. The only music that does consistently play is when you're in the medbay, and that just recycles the same song over and over again. However, one thing that is coming out with the patch recently is the ability to add in your own music for the medroom, so you can drop it in your music and you can have whatever song you want to play in the medroom, which I think is a fantastic idea considering there is very little in the way of sound. Besides that, you do get some music at the boss fights, but overall what I've got here is, as I said, is a light touch. It is crisp, it is clear, it works brilliantly on a headset as well as a TV. but overall there isn't much there. One thing they have added in this system was audio logs, and this is to help tell the story. Yes, the actual voice work here is being done beautifully and perfectly, but I found the audio logs a little bit boring. Their voices was good, but it was just a little bit mundane, and after you heard one, you've heard them all really. Besides that, I enjoyed the actual sounds of this game. It is clear, that I said that it is crisp, but I do think maybe like a soft tone that played throughout the game would have beefed it up, gave it a little bit more oomph to it. And this leads me on to the rating of the game. Now, I rate games in order of avoid, rent, great purchase, and must own. My rating for The Surge for the Xbox One is a great purchase, and this is for the following reasons. As a person who thoroughly hates Dark Souls type of games, I thoroughly enjoy playing this, and I'm still playing it now. It is highly addictive, it is fun, and for those who maybe didn't find themselves enjoying Dark Souls or feeling a bit envious because they couldn't actually get around to the punishing ways of Dark Souls, this is a perfect kind of step into that genre. Deck 13 should be commended of providing an alternative for Dark Souls, one that will keep hardcore fans and new people to the genre happy. I absolutely enjoyed this game. The graphics is fantastic. The story's okay. The music's a nice little touch. But what's highly addictive here is the fun you'll get, just tearing bits apart, of body limbs apart. It is really enjoyable. The game price is not exactly over priced as well. Currently at the moment it is around £35 on the Xbox One, and I think that translates to just $40, but that's probably come down in price anyway. So what you get for your buck is around about 18 hours worth of gameplay, but there is a Game Plus mode which adds new enemy types, so that's going to give you great replayability. One thing that will say about this game is it is single player only. It is not like Dark Souls in terms of in getting into their game and getting people to help you out. This is a single player only game. Deck 13 has stated that it is providing updates, and what I have seen so far, they are doing that on a regular basis, so any potential issues is being ironed out. I would thoroughly recommend anyone buying this game who wants to try out a Dark Souls-esque but doesn't want to be put into the main Dark Souls game because they're too frustrated. This is a great purchase, and one I highly would recommend. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know what you think of the review. If you think I've said it wrong or you disagree with me, please do state in the comments. I do like to read and hear what you think about my reviews. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a great time gaming.